Hi, Black Recap here. Today I am going to explain a film called Fool. In a small provincial Russian town, an alcoholic living in a hostel accuses his wife of stealing money and having nothing to hang over with. The wife ignores her husband and angers him, for which she gets slapped in the face. The scandal is stopped by an accident which has caused a hot water pipe to burst. At the same time, a young plumber, Dmitry Nikitin, is preparing for his exams to become a civil engineer. His wife and son do not believe in him, for it is impossible to get higher education without bribes. Looking out the window, he sees that drunken teenagers are on the rampage again, and have broken the bench outside the entrance. Indifferent Dmitry and his father run out into the street to catch the hooligans, but they manage to get away. During dinner, the boy's mother asks them not to take the initiative, as no one is used to good deeds. She criticizes the head of the family because he works honestly and does not steal from the factory, unlike his colleagues. The man ignores his wife's remarks because he is used to living a good life and has brought up his son to be as kind and decent. Having quarreled with their loved ones, the men go out to fix the bench and distract themselves from the constant scandals. His father considers himself a black sheep because he is the only one who does not steal steel pipes, profile sheets and other factory products. Dmitry is sure that his father is doing the right thing because he is honest with himself and the other residents of the town. Soon his mother informs her son that he has been summoned to the dormitory because of a burst water pipe. When he arrives, he inspects the supporting wall and is horrified by what he sees. Rushing outside, he inspects the building and realizes that it is in a state of emergency and could collapse at any moment. Back at home, he can't sleep and decides to check his creepy assumptions. Having studied the technical documentation, Dmitry realizes that the dormitory will not last more than a day. There are 820 people living there, and they have no idea of the dangers threatening them. After waking his mother, he asks her to contact the city administration to carry out an emergency evacuation of the residents. The woman doesn't want to get involved in other people's problems, so she gives her son the phone number of an old friend who works as a chief accountant at the town hall. After contacting Razumikina, the plumber requests a meeting with the head of the city and learns that she is celebrating her anniversary at a restaurant. Once at the party, the guy tries to talk to Mayor Galaganova and tell her about the emergency that has happened to the dormitory. Without thinking twice, the woman holds an emergency meeting in one of the restaurant halls, gathering at the table senior city officials. Having heard about what has happened, many react with skepticism and believe that experts from the region should be invited. The head of Housing and Communal Services, Fedotov, reports on the recent renovation of the building, but everyone is well aware that money has been stolen and the structure is in a deplorable state. Trusting his worst fears, the mayor instructs Fire Chief Matyugin, Fedotov, and a young plumber to check the facility once more before sowing panic. On arrival, Dmitry shows cracks in the walls and a crumbling foundation, but the housing chief does not take the threat seriously. Then the plumber offers to do a door-to-door walk around the rooms so the management can see the extent of the destruction with their own eyes. Once up on the roof, the guy takes an empty bottle and shows how it rolls down the roof. Throwing it vertically down, he demonstrates that the house is on an incline and has already started to fall, and every hour is worth its weight in gold. Back at the restaurant, Fedotov and Matyugin confirm the lad's fears. The mayor kicks the plumber out for a confidential chat with his subordinates. Unable to stand it, she criticizes each of them for embezzling public funds allocated for repairs, medicine, and other socially important areas. It is difficult for her, as half the budget has to be distributed on bribes and salaries, and there is no money left to help ordinary people. At the same time, the mayor is not prepared to bury over 800 people under the rubble and asks her subordinates to evacuate the people, but at the last minute she stops them to wait for her order. In turn, she wants to meet the head of a construction firm, Safronov, to allocate 200 flats in a new housing complex for the temporary resettlement of people. The chief accountant analyzed the state of the accounts and reported that the housing fund's deficit was 120 million rubles and 260 million more rubles were needed to provide people with housing. Realizing that no such money can be found, Galaganova stops her subordinates and goes to Safronov. Having met the owner of the construction company, she asks for 2 buildings for the displaced people, but he refuses to help those in need. It turns out that Bogachev, the mayor's assistant, is not only a former criminal mastermind, but also the main investor looking to make a profit. The mayor's Grey Cardinal does not care about people's lives and suggests doing the same, as before she did not care about the fate of the locals. Missing roads, constant drunkenness and consumption of illegal substances, crime, lack of normal work and other problems took people's lives every day while Galaganova embezzled the budget. Realizing that she is not prepared to risk her life and well-being, the mayor and deputy devise a cunning scheme whereby they can shift the blame for a possible disaster onto their subordinates. The fire chief and the housing chief, who have been embezzling construction funds for years, are to be the ones to blame. To do this, she instructs the head of the Internal Affairs Department, Siapin, to liquidate his subordinates and the plumber by simulating their escape. The police inform them that there will be a planned evacuation, and Dmitry, Fedotov, and Matyugin are to go along with them. It soon becomes clear that they are not being taken to the dormitory. The head of the Housing and Utilities Department is a cunning fox, who has figured out the plan of the mayor and her subordinate. He realized that it would be easier to remove them, making them the edge, than to help people doomed to die under the collapse of the building. Arriving in the middle of nowhere, the cops want to shoot the so-called fugitives, but Fedotov asks them to take pity and let the guy go. Considering that the plumber is not a threat, the law enforcers allow him to escape, but on the condition that Dmitry will keep quiet and leave town by morning. The police officers enforce the sentence and dispose of their service weapons. Siapin, who supervised the crime, asks his subordinates not to worry, for he will easily write off the weapon, the main thing being that no one will find the body. Continuing to cover his tracks and destroy the evidence, the mayor burns all the black accounting revealing the embezzlement of funds. Rushing home, Dmitry hastily packs his things and informs his parents that he is forced to leave town for good. Taking a neighbor's car, he picks up his wife and young son. On the way out of town, the plumber tells his beloved what has happened. She throws a tantrum as she asks him to be as callous and indifferent as the others. Realizing that her husband is kind-hearted and thinks of others, his wife calls Dmitry a fool. The plumber is not enraged by this, for he feels he has done the right thing, and the people living in the dormitory are evacuated. Passing by the crumbling building, the couple notice that there are no cops, doctors, or emergency services on the street. It becomes clear that he has been duped and people have been abandoned to their fate. The honest and good-natured fool can't let this go and asks his wife and child to leave town. At the same time, he returns home and tells his parents everything. His mother demands that he pay no attention to what is happening or he will be sent to the other side of the world. The father realizes that he has brought his son up wrong and asks for his forgiveness. At the same time, he realizes that Dmitry must tell the tenants the truth and try to save them. At dawn, a plumber gets to the dormitory and starts circling all the rooms, announcing that the building is about to collapse. In a panic, people begin to pack their bags and run out into the street. The local drunks do not listen to him until he is on the rampage. Angered, they also leave the building. After checking all the rooms and the roof, Dmitry realizes he has managed to evacuate the people before they are killed. Going down to the ground floor, he sees a crowd and asks them to move away from the dormitory. One of the alcoholics asks people to pay attention to the plumber, after which he punches him in the stomach and calls on people to punish the White Crow who created the commotion. The crowd beats Dmitry and sends him to the other side, leaving the guy lying on the doorstep of the hostel. The tenants themselves return to the building despite the fact that it could collapse at any moment. The moral here is simple: those who help people are wasting their time. Good deeds don't make them famous. In spite of this, stay human, help your loved ones, and appreciate life. Please like and subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.